International recording legend Denny Zager of Zager Easy Play Guitars, and writer of In the Year 2525, the biggest one-hit wonder in world recording history, selling over 20 million records.
Getting warmed up here. Always takes a while to get your fingers going. Now, the main thing that I'm going to cover at this portion here of videotaping, one of the toughest things on the guitar is a bar chord. Now you say, well, what is a bar chord? It's a chord that goes anywhere up or down the neck. The beauty of it is you can learn one formation and go all the way up and down. So by learning one formation, you can get somewhere between 8 and 12 different chords out of it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 up here, and on the 10, probably 11 different chords from one formation. You say, boy, that's a good deal. Well, it is a good deal. The only problem is the bar chord, you're holding down all 6 strings. And when you hold down all 6 strings, you got the pressure of all 6 strings that you have to hold down. So your hand has to be really strong to hold those down. The one real important thing here is, what am I holding in my hand? Duh, it's a guitar. But if it's the wrong guitar, the bar chord can be a nightmare. If the strings are really high up off the fretboard and there's a lot of pressure on them, 6 strings to hold down. If you're only holding down one string, it's not bad. You can get by with a guitar that's hard to play. But this is what led me to design the Zager guitar. Naturally, we call it the Easy Play because it does play easy. And this is where a Zager guitar really shines. If you have 6 strings that are real high and they're high pressure and they cut into your fingers, a bar chord can be months and months and months. Some people take a year to learn how to play a bar chord. With the Zager, we can cut that in a fraction simply because we don't have to work as hard for it. The strings are lower, meaning they're not as high up off the neck. If you look, they're real low, and I don't have to push them hard. They're softer strung, meaning to say we use a lighter gauge, meaning to say they're not as thick. Instead of pushing 500 pounds down, you only have to push 150 down or less, depending. See, now in this situation, if there's lower tension, naturally you're not pushing against that tension. Those strings aren't biting into your fingers. What a lot of people don't understand too, that the Zager guitar is braced. There's an X bracing underneath there. In other words, one brace here and one brace going down, and then there's 2 down here. Now, if those are thick braces, this face doesn't move as much. It's not as bassy, it's not as loud and powerful. So we use a thinner brace. But what people don't understand about that brace is the thinner that brace is, the more this face moves. It not only gives, when we push here, it gives, and what happens very basically is it gives more, and the bottom line is it pulls less tension from here back to here. So if it's pulling less tension, then a 6-string bar chord isn't as hard to play. In other words, we reduce that workload by a very large amount. And what's really interesting, we burn both ends of the candle. This bar chord is easier to play. You don't have to push as hard. And the face gives more. And that's, in other words, when the face gives more, that bar chord is easier to play. Interesting thing on the other side of things, it's actually bassier, a richer bass, and a louder volume. So we work both sides. We have our cake and eat it too. The bar chord is easier to play, and the bass is louder. When the braces are thinner underneath here, this whole face moves. And this face is the area that it's just like a speaker. The more it moves, the louder it is, and the more it gives. So we've got both ends of the thing going here. In other words, the bar chord is easier to play. We have more bass and more volume. That's because the guitar is built and designed better. By the way, you can't tell by looking at it. So you say, well, this looks like the same as the Zager does. It's not the same as the Zager because it's designed differently. We've got a lot of things in mind when we're building a guitar. We don't just throw it together for looks. We throw it together because it plays easier and it sounds better at the same time. Now I want to finish showing you this bar chord. There's tricks to it too. In other words, if you look really closely at this hand here, I'll put it so. Now, if we move way up close to the fret, see, this is right close to the fret. It's not down. It's not down further. In other words, any note that we hit on the guitar, if we want to get by working less, we always go up closer to that fret. That's a secret to a bar chord. If we're going with this finger, it's not back here. We always go up a little ways further for the bar. And the other finger that goes, this is just a, well, there are a lot of different bar chords. A seventh, a minor, a sixth or a ninth. We can do a lot of different kinds of bar chords, but they're basically formed the same way. Your hand is formed like that. We can do even a bar chord like that, where the little finger is way up here and this one's here. It's a real stretch. Again, if it presses easier, some of these chords, you may never play them on other guitars simply because the guitars are too hard to play. If these fingers, if these chords can be pressed easily, it makes all the difference in you as a guitar player. You become a better guitar player sooner. A lot of people will take 6 months, maybe 2 years to play a bar chord, to build the strength in that hand to make it work. So in this situation then, we always form the chords to the higher, meaning this being high. We always go to the highest part to put our fingers, not down here. See the difference? See, we move it up to there. Close. See this finger right here? It's not down there. It's up to there. And the bar chord back here is not back here. I'll show you that. See, it's not back there. We move it up to there. Closely. Again, we watch what you're doing. In other words, if you're placing right with this left hand, you don't have to press as hard. And then if you have a Zager guitar that's easy to play, your bar chord that you're playing is within reach in a much shorter time. You become a better player faster. So these sciences, the way these guitars are built, I call it string science for a reason. It's very exact science. And if we as manufacturers design this right, we can make the workload so much less for that player. And the player, it doesn't take them as long to learn. Well, what does that do to you, the player? You make progress. What does progress do for you? It gets you excited because you're going after your goal and you're reaching your goal. So how important is the design of the guitar? Well, it makes a difference whether you end up playing guitar or not, or you give up. Well, how's that grab you? It grabs everybody the same way. It discourages you and you hang it up. Well, who wants to do that? You picked up this guitar saying, hey, I'm going to have a good time and I'm going to get somewhere. I'm going to be a guitar player. Hey, it starts with a good guitar that's well designed. That's the Zager guitar for you. Think on these bar chords again. Always move up closer to that higher fret when you form. And you will have to watch real close, and naturally practice, practice, practice. It still takes practice, but we cut your time in half. A lot of these people take so long to learn that bar chord. It's one of the hardest chords to play. We reduce that in a fraction of work, to a fraction of the work. That's how much difference it makes if that guitar is designed. Why do you think I spent all those years designing the Zager guitar? Because I wanted to be a better player. I just made your guitar the same way as mine is. That's all. And it makes a world of difference. So play this back many times. That's what the video is for. Repeat it as many times as you have to, and you'll realize that the tone is better for a Zager guitar because the braces are thinner. A lot of guitars, they're that thick. The Zager guitar braces are about that thin. We cut them down. Now, there's a point of diminishing returns to that. If we go too far, the braces aren't enough to hold the face, and you could have problems. But it's very precision. We use an exact thickness down to a wire, and so it sounds better. The face moves more. And it reduces the workload for the left hand. A lot of people don't look at that. Well, you can't see it. The brace works on the inside. That's why. So keep going this way. Play this videotape back many times as usual. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you later. Bye for now.